So this is one of those weeks that really seem to remind us in pretty stark terms what is at stake in this election. I mean, just take Tuesday night's vice presidential debate. And that moment at the very end when everyone watching was definitely reminded that this election is anything but normal.
Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Tim Walz's face says it all. I mean, the Republican nominee for vice president of the United States wouldn't even say who won the last election. Okay, but that was only Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, a new filing from special counsel Jack Smith was unsealed, painting an even more vivid picture of Donald Trump's scheme to overturn that election. And then on Thursday, lifelong Republican and former Congresswoman Liz Cheney reminded the American people why all of this matters.
Donald Trump was willing to sacrifice our Capitol to allow law enforcement officers to be beaten and brutalized in his name and to violate the law and the Constitution in order to seize power for himself. I don't care if you are a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. That is depravity, and we must never become numb to it.
So yeah, everything that happened this week was a reminder of the huge, giant, enormous stakes, whatever adjective you want to use, of this election. And it didn't even stop there, because yesterday Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania, which is, of course, the same site of the assassination attempt against him back in July. Now, no matter what your political beliefs out there are, I think we can all acknowledge that was a terrible moment this summer. No one, of course, should be targeted. And while Trump did begin that rally by commemorating the man who was killed and others who were injured that day, he very quickly reverted back to his typical self, playing the victim card and casting himself as a martyr.
Over the past 8 years, those who want to stop us from achieving this future have slandered me, impeached me, indicted me, tried to throw me off the ballot, and who knows, maybe even tried to kill me.
I mean, that is a completely crazy statement, all of it. And it could not be further from the truth. No, his political opponents did not try to kill him. And let's not pretend his impeachments and indictments were prompted by anything other than his own actions. In fact, almost a full 4 years after his loss, he's still clinging to this lie that he won the last election. Of course, many leading Republicans want to ignore this and pretend it's not an issue. They want to move on. Former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker said this week, voters are long over January 6th. And Congressman Tom Emmer basically said this is something that only the media cares about. And here's House Speaker Mike Johnson just earlier this morning.
Can you say unequivocally that Joe Biden won the 2020 election and Donald Trump lost?
See, this is the game that is always played by mainstream media with leading Republicans. It's a gotcha game. You want us to litigate things that happened 4 years ago when we're talking about the future.
It's a gotcha game. It's all a media obsession. Over here in MAGA land, we're focused on the future. That's what he's trying to say. It's also not a hard question, by the way. Now, look, for anyone out there wondering why we're still talking about this, it's in large part because their guy, Donald Trump, won't shut up about it. In fact, it's the entire reason he's running. And don't just take my word for it. Take his. Here's Trump just 3 days ago.
It was a rigged election. You have to tell Kamala Harris that's why I'm doing it again. If I thought I lost, I wouldn't be doing this again.
If I thought I lost, I wouldn't be doing this again. There we go. There it is. Now, the issue for all of us as a country is that this is not only a then problem, it's very much a now problem, because Donald Trump is leading efforts to steal this upcoming election, too. I mean, right now, Republicans are filing a flurry of frivolous but dangerous election lawsuits in swing states across the country, like in Georgia or the third largest county in Pennsylvania, where they are trying to force officials to count ballots by hand, or in Nevada and other states where they are continuing to push false claims about non-citizens voting, or in all of the places they are working to try and delay or even block the certification of election results. Already, we're 30 days out even from the election. These are pages, by the way, out of the very same playbook we saw in 2020. But this time, they've had some practice. So I know Trump's allies like to say they're focused on the future. Well, all of this is the future. What we saw on January 6th, what Jack Smith just vividly outlined, what Liz Cheney is warning against, this isn't the past. It's actually the plan. Harry Dunn is a former Capitol Police officer who protected the Capitol during January 6th. He's been out campaigning across the country. Michael Cohen is Donald Trump's former attorney. He's also the host of The Michael Cohen Show on YouTube, as well as the Mea Culpa and Political Beatdown podcast. And few people have a better understanding of what Trump is capable of than these two. So, Harry, I'm going to start with you because you're here with me on set. And I just wanted to get your reaction. I played a clip of Trump from the rally. I know you watched other parts of the rally. He's basically painting himself as the martyr, as somebody who everybody is going after. What do you make of that, and what is your reaction to it?
Well, just the first thing, like you acknowledged, the assassination attempt that happened, it shouldn't be taken lightly, and it shouldn't be wished upon anybody. It's repulsive. See how easy that was, condemning something that was bad.
And accurate, and everybody should say that.
Everybody should say that, but if you notice during that little clip that you just showed, every statement was me, 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 me. Not us, not the country. It's all about Donald Trump. Anytime he talks, it's all about him. And that's why the Republicans that you just showed, Mike Johnson, J.D. Vance during the debate, were unable to say that he lost the election, because that is the litmus test for Donald Trump. Can you say that you support me no matter what? Unequivocally, loyalty to me. And that's very dangerous, loyalty to one man instead of the Constitution.
No question. Now, Michael, let me ask you, I'm sure you watched that rally or watched parts of that rally. What was your reaction to it?
It was exactly as all of the other rallies. I mean, Butler was no different than the one he did before in that gymnasium. It's always, as Harry just said appropriately and accurately, it's all about me, me, me. He's not running to do anything for the country. He's running in order to protect himself. He's already sitting with a $90+ million judgment for E. Jean Carroll. He's already sitting with a $500 million judgment with the New York Attorney General. He's sitting with 34 criminal guilty counts by the Manhattan District Attorney and 4 remaining indictments, 3 and then the superseding. He's only running to protect himself. And I don't understand why people just don't see what is so obvious. It's so glaring in front of everybody's face, but they want to ignore it. Why? Again, I think I'm as confused about that as everybody else.
Now, hopefully we're reminding people of what's at stake. And so I want to ask you, Harry, about the security piece here, because, there are many indications here that Donald Trump is planning exactly the same things that he's planned before, questioning the outcome, fake electors, lawsuits everywhere. Yeah. President Biden was asked this week when he went to the briefing room about this. And they think this is important, not just because he is because he's the sitting president, really, because he has access to briefings. They would be thinking about security threats right now. But let's play that, and I want to get your thoughts on it.
I'm confident it'll be free and fair. I don't know whether it will be peaceful. They haven't even accepted the outcome of the last election. So I'm concerned about what they're going to do.
It's a pretty remarkable thing for any president to say, I'm not sure if it will be peaceful.
Well, yeah, absolutely, because it was peaceful for the entire history of America until it wasn't because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump set the precedent for it not being peaceful. And you mentioned the lawsuits that are being out there. I got to acknowledge Mark Elias and his group, the work that they're doing, trying to save democracy at the ballot, in the courtroom in the legal ways. So it's definitely very important that Donald Trump when he debated Joe Biden, he was asked 3 times, would he be able to accept the election results? And then he could not answer that straightforward. He was unable to. And that's what he did leading up to January 6th. He planted the seeds of doubt, and that's what he's doing now. So when Joe Biden said that, hey, it may not be peaceful, yeah, it's unprecedented for him to say that, but it's also a reality because we saw what happened on January 6th, where police officers were beaten, all because Donald Trump, they were there because of a lie. While they were attacking police officers, they said, we're here because Donald Trump sent us. We're here to stop the steal. The election was stolen. So January 6th, the violence that occurred that day was based off of a lie. And, Congress, I appreciate the work that they did with the Electoral College Reform Act. So they've done things, but you can't So what Joe Biden said, you know, it will be free and fair, but will it be peaceful? That's yet to be seen.
Which is, you know, and that statement, but also just what we're all seeing with our own eyes here is a reminder. And Michael, I want to ask you, I mean, there are a number of Republicans out there who are saying, let's move on. January 6th is in the past. I mean, I'm struck by the fact that Donald Trump is essentially running on this, right? He's made clear he wants to replicate some of the things that happened in 2020. You know him well. I mean, what do you make of all of these efforts by a number of Republicans to say it's in the past, it doesn't matter? Do you think, is there any reason to doubt he wants to repeat a number of the actions he took 4 years ago?
Well, look, that's it's a pretty interesting question. First and foremost, let me say that the Republicans that are demonstrating their fealty to Donald have something that they want as a result if, God forbid, Trump ends up winning the election. But there are also a slew of Republicans that are not asking for the same thing, that they do not want to just put this thing in the past, that they want to see the United States, they want to see unity in the United States and start getting rid of the chaos and the divisiveness so that we can all work together for, you know, mutual benefits. This is very different than what Donald Trump is saying. Donald Trump continues with that bombastic, with the rhetoric of divisiveness and hate. And the big warning that I want people to understand is when Donald Trump says something, stop sane-washing it. Stop trying to make it into something which has some normalcy to it. What he says he intends to do. And when he turns around and says, Jen, to, you know, like the head of this network or other people who are critics, that he intends to use SEAL Team 6 or the military within which to round up his critics or his opponents, he intends to do it. And I say that with firsthand experience. What Donald Trump, Bill Barr, the Department of Justice, the Bureau of Prisons did to me, the unconstitutional remand of a United States citizen, making me the first political prisoner in this country to be held by my own country because I wouldn't waive my First Amendment constitutional right. What that was for Trump, if you want to use Tim Walz's sort of comment, that was a practice play. And now that he knows exactly how to get away with it, I suspect that there's going to be many, many more people that will be incarcerated at simply Donald's whim and simply because he deems them to be a critic.
He knows more now. I think that is one of the things I've thought about a lot. He's also surrounded himself with a running mate who's willing to implement, a Speaker of the House who helped him implement last time. Harry Dunn, Michael Cohen, thank you both.